Hi, this is Nahid. Have you ever had a boss that made you feel insignificant or unappreciated or undervalued? I have a couple clients that have experienced this recently, so I've been thinking about it. And, as I talk to them, I realize just how horrible it makes them feel. And I've been in that situation too, where you think it's probably the boss, but you're not sure because you look around at other people in your organization and you wonder, well, wait a minute, is it me? Because they seem fine. And to a certain extent, I have to tell you the truth, it might be you. Partly. It doesn't mean that bosses get free reign, but there might be something in your thinking pattern or how you're receiving the behavior and interpreting the behavior of your boss that's making things worse than maybe some of your peers who are witnessing the same behaviors and not perceiving them the same way. So there's kind of a step-by-step process that you can go through when you're dealing with a boss that has you on shaky ground. The first thing is to sort of resign yourself that if that relationship's going to get better, you're probably going to have a conversation about it. But the first thing to know about that is it's not going to be just one conversation. There will need to be a series of conversations, and it could even be a series of interactions over the course of months as you work into a better relationship with your boss. For most people, most of the time, your boss is going to have their own issues. They're going to do their best to have a good relationship with you, but they're not going to really have a clue about how they're affecting you all the time. And it's kind of on you to do what you can to make that relationship more productive both ways. So, how do you do it? Well, the first thing is to recognize, as we said, that it's going to be a series of conversations and a series of interactions, and it's probably going to be on you to drive that communication. But you don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to do it unprepared. In fact, you should not do it unprepared, and you shouldn't do it when you're stressed. So you have to get prepared. The first thing to prepare yourself is to realize that part of what's upsetting you is the story that you're telling yourself about how the boss is treating you. You're looking at a set of behaviors, possibly tone of voice, and you're making it mean something. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not close to the truth. What is the story you're telling yourself? Are you telling yourself that this boss must think I'm really stupid? Or the reason this boss keeps missing appointments with me is because they disrespect me and devalue me? Or kind of, if they really loved me, they would do XYZ. These are our stories, our judgments, our rules that we put on other people. They may not know those things. They can't read our minds. So the first thing to do is to just really own the stories that you're creating to explain the behaviors that you're experiencing. So, number one, it will be lots of conversations and you'll have to drive them. Number two, keep in mind that your upset is more because of the story you're telling yourself than because of the actual behavior. So, try to recognize what's that story you're telling yourself and see it as a story, even if part of it's true, so that you can separate yourself emotionally. And then the third thing is you want to be as confident as possible when you're having that conversation. The reason that we tend not to be confident when we have these conversations with our bosses is because we are really attached to what the boss thinks of us. Now, I understand that we have to be attached to what the boss thinks of us because that's our livelihood on the line. But because it's our livelihood on the line, it actually gives the boss more power than they deserve as a human being because they are just another human being. They may have a few years more seniority on us, they may not. The point is, your boss is a human being. And when they interact with you, they see you as another human being and they just think of it as a conversation. But if you're overly invested in what the boss thinks of you, it can't just be a regular human to human conversation because you have to protect yourself from the boss seeing anything negative that might give them a negative impression. And that makes you less than authentic and less than confident when you're having that conversation. So it really helps to do some homework to make yourself less attached to what the boss thinks of you. One way to do that is to make sure you have a very good network so that you could get another job if this one didn't work out. Another way to do that is to really kind of take an honest look at yourself and figure out what your strengths are and acknowledge your accomplishments and how hard you've been working in the position so that you can feel good about the work that you do, even if the boss doesn't see it. Now, these are just a couple of ways to increase your confidence. There's a lot more training on this channel about relationships, about setting boundaries, about getting feedback, about dealing with different kinds of bosses. So make sure to subscribe, and one by one, we'll go through all the tips, all the tricks, all the lessons, and all the practice, and we'll get you there.